chapter 2, which is titled Purifying Power of Service. So this is actually a lengthy chapter, but I will try to cover it as quickly as possible so that we really finish it on time. According to the Vedic scriptures, there are unlimited material universes. The scientific name for galaxy or cluster or supercluster, they are all already found in Vedic scriptures. For example, for galaxy, in the Vedas, it's referred as Agasha Ganga. It's really a collection of, like similar to Ganga, it's really flowing because the whole Milky Way is actually all moving. So Agash Ganga. So every universe goes through creation, maintenance and destruction. This cycle repeats forever. There is no beginning. I mean, it's always going on. All these universes with planets are inhabited by exploiting jivas. Because jivas by nature, because of the fallen nature, they will be always exploiting the resources. So that's exactly the nature of the fallen jivas that we are seeing everywhere. They will actually kill the nature. So we really studied about that in Jaiva Dharma in detail. Now the question is, are these fallen jivas really happy in the material worlds? They all are subjected to repeated birth, diseases, old age and death. This goes on forever and ever. Even Lord Brahma, the god of creation, has to die one day. All these material universes correspond to the karmas of the jivas. So depending on the karmas that the jivas have really performed, so they will be born in the respective material, because material worlds are so many levels are there. So anyway, whatever scriptures that we read, they all conclude only one thing. Lord Krishna is also saying the same thing in the Bhagavad Gita.
Mam upehitya punarjanma dukkalayam asasvatam napnuvanti mahatmanaha samsiddhim paramam gata. After attaining me, the great souls who are in devotion to me never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. Mam upehitya punarjanma dukkalayam asasvatam napnuvanti mahatmanaha samsiddhim paramam gata.
So this material world is dukkhalayam. Dukkha means sorrow, troubles, miseries, a place of sorrows or unhappiness. Only my abode, which is spiritual abode, is full of everlasting bliss. So this we are seeing that in Bhagavad Gita, not only in Bhagavad Gita, everywhere it is there. So we have spiritual world and material worlds. So only the spiritual world is really having everlasting bliss. Material worlds, it is just impossible. There may be flickering happiness here and there, but in the overall, it is always miserable. So also when we go from lower, to the lower planetary systems, it will be more and more miserable. More lower we go, more miseries we have. That is why every single religion is pointing us to, that we should really go, get out of this material world and go back to the kingdom of God, which is the spiritual world. Every religion says the same thing. So different material abodes have different levels of sufferings. Depending on the karma of the jivas, they are forced to be born there. There are unlimited Brahmandas. Every Brahmanda is ruled by one god of creation called Lord Brahma. This is just a chart about our Brahmanda, a universe under our four-headed Lord Brahma. Every universe has its own variations. Our universe has 14 levels of planetary systems, high to low. So now if you see the Satyaloka, that is where Lord Brahma resides. Tapaloka, Janaloka, Maharloka, Swargaloka, that is the heaven. That's also called Indraloka. And Bhuvarloka. Then Bhurloka is somewhere it is part of the upper planetary system, but the lowest. It is the middle. So then the lower you have the Atala Loka, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, and Patala. So Patala is basically the worst place. That is where all the hells are located. And the topmost Satyaloka is the place that Brahma resides. Now, one may wonder why the spiritual worlds are, actually full of happiness. They are actually beyond these material universes. And what is the nature of these abodes? Vedic Shastras proclaim that the spiritual worlds are full of happiness, full of bliss, and it is ever there. It is not really going to really fade away like in the material world. So here, we buy something, we get happy, and after some time what happens? We are actually getting, after that happiness will slowly fade away, and finally it may even come to a frustration that we will actually throw it away. That doesn't happen in the spiritual world. So the created energy of the Lord, a very tiny fraction he used to create all the material as well as the spiritual worlds. And 1/4 of that fractional energy is used for creating material worlds, and the 3/4 used for the spiritual worlds. So again, spiritual world also has different levels. We are not really going to go through that, because today we are actually talking about a different perspective. So actually, our inner nature of soul is actually bliss. We are bliss. By the soul itself is blissful, but we are covered by this ignorance called Maya, because we wanted to enjoy bodily. We wanted to enjoy the material world. That's why we really fell down. We really came over here. So now, unfortunately, what we really get here in this world is only flickering happiness. So, but the unquenchable thirst for happiness is there in our soul. That is why we are always going for happy, happy, happy. And all the Walt Disney movies and cartoons and all the fantasy movies, they are making big business because you really always want happiness. So the higher the spiritual world we go, more are the bliss. So the bliss in the spiritual world correspond to the level of that, the realm in the spiritual world. That also now corresponds to devotional service. Now I am actually going to touch the point for today. This is a very important point. So devotional service is the root cause of bliss and happiness. This you have to take it. All the Shastras, this is where everything comes in. So devotional service is found in all the spiritual abodes in various degrees, as I said. Why they are blissful there? In the spiritual abode there is devotional service, because they know what is what the nature of every jiva, right? Every demigod, or what exactly their nature, they do it there in the spiritual world correctly. Not like fooled, because we got fooled. We wanted to enjoy away from the Lord. That is why we really came here. But we are learning the lesson by going through miseries. Then eventually we will actually engage ourselves in the spiritual devotional activities and then go back. So in the higher lokas, every deva worships God. All the devas surrendered and worship and serve Vishnu. They live in the heaven above, far happier than our worlds. But whereas the Asuras really take the position of the lower planetary system. Atala, Vitala, Patala, like all the way until Patala, they are all the places where Asuras live. These Asuras are, what is the meaning of Asuras? Asuras means sense enjoyers. Their interest is actually bodily enjoyment and not the soul level. They really want to have, enjoy by their body, and they will not be really engaged in the devotional service at all. So we will never see devotional services anywhere found in the lower planetary systems, as all the way go to the hellish abodes. They do not worship God. Their lokas are very, very miserable. Why? Because their only focus is self-enjoyment. So we have to now understand the bliss is related to devotional service and not the sense enjoyment. So this is the second point that we have to note. Now you understand why our lower lokas are miserable, okay? Because we are actually not engaged in the devotional service, not everybody. So no devotional service. Only by devotion we can get back now. Our original nature is to serve the Lord, right? So thinking, but the thing is, thinking that we are the masters, we are engaged in enjoying our senses. But because we do not surrender like Devas do, miseries result. There are three kinds of miseries, right? Adhyatmika, or Adibhautika, or Adidevika. What is Adhyatmika? The problem created by our own body and mind. We will get all kinds of problems, disease, this and everything. So many problems. Maintaining our body itself is a big problem. Mind is another complicated problem. Bigger problem means actually the mind. Then problem created by other living beings, right? Others, neighbors, government, whatever it is, others. So that is Adi Bhautika. Then Adi Devika is God. Demigods creating problems. Flood, this, that, earthquake, this, and all kinds of things that will happen because of them. But we think that we are the master of this here. So that is the problem, because we wanted to be masters rather than servant to the Lord. That is why we are actually here. So, but the thing is, nutshell, we know that it is painful. But Lord says, why is this happening? Because in the first slide I showed, Lord said that don't go. This is actually a miserable place. But we really took the stand. But now we are supposed to be learning the lesson. That is why when we get the favor from Krishna, He will not give us the wealth or something. He will give us suffering, so that you will understand that this is not the place. These material worlds are really not the place at all. So you will get sick of it and automatically turn yourself into devotional activities. So, but the thing is, what is happening here is there is something Maya that I said. That is why, like Bhagavad Gita, Lord says we are covered by the Maya, and then we are not able to get out of it because we have still the sense enjoyment. So, Devi he yesha gunamayi, mama maya duratyata, yeah, mam eva ye prapadyate, mayam yetam tarandite. So, what that means is I have an energy called Maya. This is actually consisting of three modes of material nature. What are they? Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic. So, we are bound by these three chains. We act accordingly. I really have, having a pure mind, sattvic mind, right? So, or I am Rajasic. I am actually trying to do so many things here and there, workaholic, this and everything. That is a Rajasic. Then Tamasic is lazy, sleepiness, all kinds of. So these are the three modes of material nature that we are bound in. And with this, it's very difficult to really overcome. So we are bound by these. And so now how to really break the chain that's Mayam Yetam Tarandite. So whoever actually is surrendered unto me, they can very easily cross beyond it. So first surrender is required for devotion service. Okay. So we said that we are suffering here. So we need to have a devotion service to really get back. But for the devotion service, you have to surrender. Okay. So now that is another catch now coming. But many do not surrender to God. You give a Bhagavad Gita or any scripture and a bottle of wine. What do they prefer? What do they prefer? So that is why it is said in the Shastra again, this is Bhagavad Gita, Namam duskritino muda. Muda means fool. Prapadyande naradamaha. Lowest of the mankind. Mayaya pakrita jnana. Their knowledge is stolen by illusion. Asuram bhavam asritaha. Who partake of the atheistic nature like demons. So if you see that sloka, there are four kinds of people, they do not surrender to Krishna. Number one, foolish, muda. Eke muda pashu tulaya karminaha. They are extreme sense enjoyers. They do not have any interest in God. They don't even want to know about Krishna. Then the second kind is called what? Naradama. Naradama means what? Lowest of the humankind. Right? Like donkey or animal. They do not understand about God and hence they reject the devotion to Krishna. What is the third one? Aviveki. Who is Aviveki? Who do not have power of the discrimination. Actually, even he Vishwanath Chakravarti even goes further. He says in his book, those who think Lord Narayana is the only supreme Lord and Krishna and Lord Ram, they are all just human beings, are also Avevikis. Yeah, he really puts it, he writes it nicely. Then the fourth category is demoniac, enemies of the Lord. In Bible also they are called Satan. In Vedic scripture they are called Asuras or demons. They fight against all the good people, Devas and the gods. So now while from the lowest world to one, because in the lowest world no one thinks about Krishna. In our middle world, which is actually like earth is actually right in the middle, for example, there are some who come to Krishna. So if you see that level is the one which is really also directly proportional to that, the devotional service. So the higher the loka you go, as I explained before, so they are blissful and because they are devotionally inclined. Yes. So now Krishna says, okay, 4 kinds of people will approach me. Approach, not necessarily attached. He will approach. Who are they? Chadurvida bhajande mam jahana sukritino arjuna arto jinya shuratati jnani cha bharatar sabdas. So this one is really tricky. Oh, best among the Bharatas. He is talking to Arjuna. This is from Bhagavad Gita. 4 kinds of pious men begin to render service unto me. Who are they? Here we go. 1. Arti. Arti means distrust. Actually what happens is, some people even give name called Arti. Okay, Arti. Yeah, what is her name? Her name is Arti. Because they got, just thought that, oh, this is a good name. They really gave. Arti means Dukhi. They are always in suffering. They don't understand Sanskrit word, the Sanskrit meaning, so they give them. Anyway, so Arti. Out of the 4 kinds of people who come to Krishna, Arti is one of them. Distrust. They want to relieve their stress and difficulties. Then the second one is Jinyashu, inquisitive. They want to know about, they are curious to really find out the truth. Right? Then the Artharthi. Artharthi means what? They have desire of wealth. They want to enjoy. They want to enjoy whatever that is takes there. They are called Artharthi. And then Jnani. Jnani is the one who really wants, he is searching for spiritual knowledge. But do they all really get Krishna? Not necessarily. Most of them, especially the first 3, Arti, Jinyashu and Artharthi, they will get directed to worship demigods. Because Lord Krishna is really talking about that particular philosophy in a separate sloka. They will be attracted over there. That is why he created the demigods. Okay, to really take them away if they are not serious. But whereas one is very serious, they will really they will hold on. But how they will hold on? With the help of a sadhu. Okay, so suppose they really came here, right? Their purpose was to really accumulate wealth. Or their purpose was to really relieve from the stress. They came to Krishna. But the thing is, if they really come to sadhu, and then under the sadhu they are actually doing devotional service, they will eventually get attached to that. And then they will really, their minds will be elevated. So thus they progress towards engaging in pure devotion. So the key point, the linking point is the sadhu. Otherwise they go to Krishna temple here and there. But the thing is they won't be able to really stick there. Because there is no guru. So the guru actually is the sadhu. He really gets it. That is why surrendering to a guru is always important. Every Shastra says. Because he is the only one who can actually save us. But who is the great soul? Who is the great soul? Great soul is, this is what it is. Mahatmanastu mam partha Devi prakriti masritaha Bhajanti ananya manaso Jnatva bhutadim avyayam. So here he says, O son of, this is also from Bhagavad Gita, because 9th chapter is actually especially about Bhakti Yoga. O son of Pritha, who is Arjuna, those great souls who are not deluded, they got the right mindset, will worship me with undivided attention. They don't really go here and there. They don't really run here and there. So they don't. Because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the origin, and inexhaustible and ultimate goal. And he will want to unite with me permanently. So they are all called great souled. So in this sloka it's called Mahatma. They are Mahatmas. They are not really found anywhere. It is very, very rare to find. And what is the nature of those great souls? What do? Satatam kirtayando mam yatanda sadruta brataha namasyanda mam bhaktya nitya yukta upashate nitya yukta upashate. What do they do? What do these great souls do? Always chanting my glories, enduring with great determination, bowing down to me, look at it, you do Tandavat Pranam. People even go to temple room and then they just keep standing. These are demons. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu calls demons. Because the heart is really all stone. You have to, the thing is, if you cannot surrender to a guru, you cannot surrender to the Lord also. This is the way. So bowing to me. Namasyan this mam bhaktya. My devotee will always give me. Bow down before me. These great souls, what will happen for them? Perpetually, what will they do? Perpetually worship me with devotion. Nitya yukta upashate. Upashate means is actually worshipping. Nitya means eternally. I mean, there is no, it's like, you really take a honey bottle and you really pour it. It just flows without any trickling, no shaking. They are permanently engaged. Nobody can actually shake them up. People may call him mad. No, they don't care because they have really got the taste. They really got the taste. Then, then they know what exactly is actually the right thing to do. So now here, okay, all right, suppose, yes, so there is a Mahatma who actually surrendered, right? So how does Krishna take care of them? He says, so this is very important. Those who always worship me with the exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. Ananya chindayando mam ye jana paryupashate tesha nityavi yuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. We did a drama which called Yogakshemam Vahamyaham, where one family, one devotee completely surrendered to Krishna, but he was so he did not have anything to wear, he didn't have anything to eat, nothing. But Krishna was actually even taking care of. So anyway, but here it is deep. This sloka is actually even deeper than that. Okay, so whatever that we have, whatever bhakti we really have, he will keep it. So we may be taking birth after birth after birth after, but that whatever that particular bhakti, devotion that you really did in any birth, they are all getting accumulated. That is your bank account. So then you will be adding more to that. So this way, the great surrendered souls will soon get back to Krishna. See, when the thing is now you are accumulating Sukruti, and eventually what? But surrender is the first step for devotion. So again, we are coming to the same point. Now let us talk about the power of devotion. Even though a devotee comes to Krishna, because of what? Artho, Jinyashu, Artharthi, Jnani. But by the association with the pure devotee, they become very dear to Krishna. Okay? So they come because of that. Okay? That is how initially they will come. They want to know, or they have some problem. But because they have an association with the pure devotee, they become very dear to Krishna. Such a devotee is very rare and is very dear to Krishna. In Bhagavatam, in the Uddhava Gita, there's a section. It's beautiful. It's called Uddhava Gita. Okay, that is actually way better than the Bhagavad Gita. But because Bhagavad Gita is talking about all kinds of this yoga, that yoga, because that's for popular, that's for Janata people. Okay, because that was the idea of Lord Krishna there that time to really take care of. So, but here he's saying that Lord is saying, I'm saying to Uddhava, Na tada me priyatama atmayonirna sangaraha na cha sangarshano na srir naivatma cha yata bhavan. My dear Uddhava, neither Lord Brahma, the creator God, or Lord Shiva, the one who really takes care of all annihilations, or Lord Shankarshana. Sankarshana is God, who is the one who really engages in devotion service to Krishna. Actually, he was the bed, he was everything, all the planetary system, the spiritual world, everything, all Sankarshana. Or even the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi. See, this is the thing. Nas Srir. Na cha Sankarshana, na Srir. Who is it? Is Lakshmi Devi. She was the one who is always serving the lotus feet of Vishnu, Narayana. So he said, no, they are not dear to me, Uddhava. So my dear Uddhava, watch again. My dear Uddhava, neither Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Shankarshana, or the goddess of fortune Lakshmi, nor indeed even my own self is not that dear as you are to me. You can see here how Krishna and the pure devotees are intricately, they are lovingly attached. Why Lord Brahma is not that dear? Why? He was a God. He actually created our earth. He is actually creator God. Very great. He is the topmost abode, Satyaloka. But say no. Krishna says, no, Brahma is not that dear to me. Why? Because Brahma wanted to be a job. He wanted to create the attitude that I have a job, I want to do something. So he wanted to be creator God. That is why we are always saying demigods, any god who does creation, destruction, this and everything, they are not pure in the sense, a Krishna devotee, pure Krishna devotee won't have inclination there. Okay? So because they have a job to do. They are CEO, they are top, managing. Why Lord Shiva is not that dear? Because he is the one who really takes care of the destruction. And then also he says Lakshmi is also, he is massaging the lotus feet of Lord Narayana and Lord Vishnu. And he says no. She is also not really dear at all. I hope Lakshmi Devi does not hear what Krishna said. Now Krishna enjoys only with his pure devotees. Okay, Krishna is extremely pleasable. Such Sit Anand. See, Sat is Anand. He is the Swarupa. From there only every bliss, whatever the bliss we get, everything comes from him only. There is no bliss beyond him. However, he does not want to enjoy it alone. He wants his pure devotees also to enjoy with him. Naham atmanam nashashe mat bhaktai sadhubir vinam Sriyam chatandikim brahman yesham gatiraham para. See, this is Srimad Bhagavatam. Oh, best of Brahmanas, without saintly persons for whom I am the only destination, see, that saintly persons for whom I am the only destination, I do not desire to enjoy my transcendental bliss and my supreme opulences without that saintly devotees for whom I am the only goal in life. So when you really take Krishna as the goal, look at how Krishna is reflecting back, how Krishna is reciprocating back. So this is a relation. You can see that. Suppose there is a loving relation between a husband and wife. Okay, right? See, suppose the wife really finds that something is very tasty. You know what she will do? I don't know whether the husband always does or not. Wife always keeps something for her husband. Because it's she doesn't eat and just, just finish it. She thinks about, oh yeah, I want to share this with my husband. If they are in loving, if they are really close. Same way husband also should be doing. But mostly husbands are really not that good as the wives do. Now take the case of Sabari. Sabari was a tribe waiting for Lord Rama to come. Every day she collected the tasty berries. So he will take some berry and the taste, okay, it's bitter, throw it out. And then to take some good, he will actually collect that. So after eating, they tasted already eating. Just collecting and collecting and collecting. Every day she collected so much, and then in front of the Lord Rama, the deity, she will offer, thinking that Lord Rama will actually come one day. She was doing every day. Then after several years, Lord Rama came. That was a big scene anyway. Now, Krishna and Bhaktas are bound by rope of love. Right? That's what we really saw that. Okay, bound by rope of love. This was how by the devotion Mother Yashoda could bind Krishna. Why Mother Yashoda? For Mother Yashoda, Krishna is everything. Yes, he had the love and authority that she could really bind. Radharani always keep Krishna bound. At least here Mother Yashoda was really binding only some time with the rope. Radharani, that's it. Even by look, Krishna is bound. Finished. He cannot escape. Bhakta ahama preme bandi yache kridaya bitare yahanitra padetahan dekaye amare. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita. My pure devotee binds me in his heart with the ropes of prema and sees only me everywhere, wherever he looks. This is a sign. When you have prema, wherever you look, you will, in your vision, only Krishna will be there. Not politics, not TV, not the money, not your job, not your nothing. Only Krishna will be always there. People will start calling you mad. Okay? So this is the nature of a Prema Bhakta. Why? Now a question comes. Why everyone is not attracted to Krishna? Right? It's very, very well known. Right? So yes, I should get Krishna. But the thing is, they are not attracted. Right? If one wants to see, this is the catch now. There are two witches that we have been possessed. What are the witches? Bhukti Mukti, Spritha Yavat, Pisasi. Pisasi means devil. Pisasi Hridi Vartate. It has gone into the heart. Tavat Bhakti Sukhasya Yatra Katham Apidayo Bhavet. Bhukti Mukti, these are the two pisas. What is Bhukti? Bhukti means money, fame, this and enjoyment, that, this, buy that, all kinds of things for self-enjoyment. That is Bhukti. Okay, again, any Shastra you go, this is what will come. You have to stop the enjoyment here. Otherwise, you won't get the other enjoyment. You have to, if you don't give up this, you cannot really catch that rope. You have to leave this one. You have to catch that rope and then leave it there. So Bhukti is sense enjoyment. What is Mukti? Mukti means moksha. I want moksha. So what is the meaning? Those souls who have possessed by these two witches, the material desire to enjoy the world and the desire to become liberated from material bondage. Even moksha is also a thing. What is the thing then? Bhakti is the only thing. That is the pure. Even mukti is not good. So these are considered to be two witches. And these two witches haunt like ghosts. As long as the two witches remain within the heart, how can one feel transcendental bliss? How can he get prema? There is no possibility. Who are these two witches? Bhukti, enjoyment, and mukti, that is moksha, greedy for moksha. How can I get out of these witches now? It's all in my heart. We have to get out from these two witches. What are they? Material desires for sense enjoyment. That is exactly Kamanuga in the Harikatha Fridays. I was talking about that extensively. And desire for moksha, that is the character of Vaiti Bhakti. Actually, it is easy to get rid of. But hardly anyone actually does that. That is what the catch is. This whole chapter is really again coming to that core point by doing devotional service. Just by engaging in Krishna's devotional service. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu says Shmaranam Pada Sevanam. So we have a complete sloka from Srimad Bhagavatam. Shravanam Kirtanam Smaranam Pada Sevanam Archanam Vandanam Tasyam Sakyam Atmani Vedanam. You have to hear about Lord Krishna's pastimes, his philosophies. Right? Kirtanam, you have to sing bhajans. Smaranam, you have to chant. And Pada Sevanam, you have to have a deity and then worship. Archanam, you have to really worship. Not the Archanam that the Vaiti Bhaktas do. That Archana is, that's not the Archanam that he is talking about here. That Archana means, oh Lord, my name is this, my Gotra is this, I want this, I want BMW, I want that, I want a big home, this, that, everything. That is different Archana. No, that's not the Archanam here. Archana means you really offer yourself to him. That's why we offer lamb. It is the expression that we are actually attached, giving ourselves. Bandhanam, yes, give namaskar. Dasyam, you have to serve. And Sakyam, you have to be friendship. And finally you give the whole Atma only for him, to really serve him. But the thing is, but my mind does not get attracted to this. This is the root of the problem. The only remedy is this, to associate with a pure Krishna devotee. But how can I get one? You have to cry for Krishna. And he will send one. Surely he will send one. But I do not want to cry for that. That means, sorry, you are completely possessed by these two witches. There is no way of getting out. So how does one get possessed by these two witches? How in the first place that you got these two witches that you got in your heart? One, bad association. It is said that when a calf associates with a pig, it will eat stool. Buddhi mukti siddhi kami subuddhi yadihaya gata bhakti yoge tabe krishnera bhajaya. So how can you really get out of this? You have to, because what it is saying is, what the sloka is saying is bad association. But you have to have a good association. That is the way to really get out of it. Now, so the sloka says, due to bad association, the living entity desires material happiness. This is the problem. If we associate with the sadhu, that hankering will completely go away. Okay, whether happiness or liberation or yogic power, ashtanga yoga, this yoga, that everything, that will go away. If such a person actually becomes intelligent and he takes to Krishna consciousness by engaging himself in intense devotion service to Lord Krishna, then comes bhakti. So you have to throw the bad association. Okay, look at here. I am coming from one link to another link. Coming? Okay, finally we are touching the bhakti. Okay, so right? One by one I really got that bad association. You have to throw it out finally. Then you really come to bhakti. What are the 6 qualities of bhakti? What do you mean by bhakti? Bhakti is very powerful. This has 6 qualities. Klesha Agni Subhada Moksha Laguta Kritsudurlabha Sandrananda Visheshatma Sri Krishna Karshini Chasa. This is from Bhakti's Rasamrita Sindhu. It is its ability to destroy your suffering. What is the suffering? There won't be any earthquake or... No, not that way. Whatever that happens to you or outside, you will be unshaken. Even the whole Himalaya mountain can really fall on you. You will be unaffected. That's what it means by destroy your suffering. You will be always happy. Whatever that comes, you accept it. That mindset will come to you. So it has a power of overcoming all the suffering. And then Krishna eventually, all the karmic reaction will go away. There is no more suffering even. It is, so what is the second one? Klesha Agni. Klesha Agni means that burns it. Agni means fire. Klesha means all miseries. Subhada. Subhada means what? Subha. Subha is the root word is Subha. Bestowal of auspiciousness. You will be your thinking will be auspicious. Your activities will be auspicious. And if anyone sees you, it will be auspicious for them. And then moksha lakuta. Lakuta means just kick it out. Moksha, I don't want moksha. Disregard. That is called bhakti. If somebody is saying that I want to go to Vaikunta, they are not even basic bhakta. Finished. This is what I wanted to tell that way. See, look at here. Moksha laguta. Then it's rarity of attainment. It is krita sudurlava. Sudurlava. Sudurlava means very extremely difficult to get it. Bhakti. And next one. It's manifestation of concept. It is giving you the bliss all the time. It really makes you to really, feel the nectar in your heart all the time. And the last one, Sri Krishna Karshini Sacha. Okay, his ability to attract Krishna. Krishna Akarshani. Akarshani means it will have the power to, like a vacuum cleaner or something, big vacuum. He will suck Krishna and put it in your heart. He cannot escape. It attracts Krishna. This is the 40th quality of Krishna out of the 64 qualities. It attracts Krishna. But how difficult it is to really take shelter of Krishna. Krishna Tomaraha Khana Yadi Bale Yekabara Maya Banda Haite Krishna Tare Karapara. One is immediately freed from the clutches of Maya if he seriously and sincerely says, my dear Krishna, Lord Krishna, although I have forgotten you for so many long years in this material world, today I am surrendering to you. I am yours and serious servant. Please engage me in the service. That's exactly it says, chant Hare Krishna Mahamantram is exactly that's what it is. But do we cry like that? No, we have so many questions now coming. All right, I will chant. I will surrender to Krishna. But at the same time, can I enjoy my senses also along with my worship in parallel? This is a common question. This is a weakness. What is it saying? Krishna kahe ama bhaje mage vishaya sukha amrita, see nectar, amrita chadi visha means poison, visha mage ahi bada murkha, you are a fool. See, Krishna devotion is really giving you nectar. And these all the sense enjoyment is actually giving you what? Towards hell. And you are saying that can I have both? I can drink. So why do you want to drink the poison? This is a very important sloka. Who will want to drink poison when one is given with nectar? If you do, you are murkha. Murkha means foolish. Bible also says that it is very easy to make a camel or something to go through the needle of an eye. But it is impossible for a rich man to go to kingdom of God. But nobody even realizes that. Because they are actually going even for asking for more and more money only. Okay? So that's a different thing. But devotional service will change all these. So if one continues devotional service under a shelter of a guru, so guru is very critical here. It will change him by the power of Krishna and Guru's mercy. He will give up the taste for sense enjoyments. It is bound to happen. Kamalagi Krishna bhaje, paya Krishna rase, kamachadi dasa, khaite haya abhilashe. When one engages in Lord Krishna's devotion service, for the satisfaction of the senses and instead acquire the taste of serving Krishna, what happens? He gives up his material desires and willingly offers himself as an eternal servant of Krishna. That is because of the Guru. Otherwise, you may be again pulled out. You may really go back and drink the poison. So, determined devotional service is the key. Determined devotional service. What is the determination? So, how you will get the determination is by a Guru. So that is why you need a guidance of Guru. So look at how he is coming again. But how does one come to devotion service? How do they get a Guru? The answer is that by fortune, sukruti, if you have done all the punyas, good activities, good things, you are helping and this and all that, your heart is so pure, not selfish, always selfless. You are all serving and taking care of others, helping. That's punya. Because of that, Lord Krishna will send you a guru. Okay? Otherwise, you are wandering into different brahmandas, one after another, according to your karma. But if you did some good karma, he will send a guru right there. You catch him. That is up to you. See, somebody is putting a rope. But if you don't catch it, that is your problem. Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jiva Guru Krishna Prasade Paya Bhakti Lata Bija. So according to the karma, jivas are wandering throughout the universes, one after another. However, when they become fortunate to associate with the Guru, he gets a rare opportunity of getting Krishna Bhakti and devotional service. So now, what happens is, if you see, with the help of Guru, now I should be able to find out, who am I? Right? He actually, because by continuous sadhu sangha, one spiritual body is revealed. This is the thing now. It is like similar to, there is a deity mirror, right? And by just cleaning it, now you are seeing yourself. Oh, I am such and such. I am so and so. My actual place is there in the spiritual abode. I am a servant. This is my seva. This is how I serve. That cleaning of your mirror comes from chanting and Guru Seva. Then you will see your spiritual form. This is what is happening. This is the thing. Bhakti can train. We saw the sloka. When doing these, these devotional activities by the help of Guru, what happens there? You will be revealed. Then what happens? Then you continue engaging in the devotional service with that particular form that you have seen. Okay? Bhakta deha paile khaya gunere smarana guna krishta khana kare nirmala bhajana. When one gets a devotional, when we get the devotee spiritual, your own form, spiritual body, he can remember their transcendental qualities of Krishna and your relation, the permanent relation actually what was there. But we really came out and then fell down here. So simply by being attracted to Krishna's that qualities, one becomes pure devotee now. He will permanently engage in the service. So the need of a spiritual master is a must. Otherwise you cannot really see even yourself. So what will an intelligent person do? What will an intelligent person do? Atayeva maya mohachari buddhiman nitya dattva Krishna bhakti karena sandhana. Therefore, an intelligent person gives up his enchantment with this illusory material world and searches out the eternal truth of devotion to Krishna. Thus he is fortunate to enter into the real bliss of the spiritual abodes. So if we are intelligent, that is what we will be doing. So perform what is the devotional activity means. What is the thing? These are the top 5 activities that are all described. Satsanga Krishna Seva, Bhagavata Nama, Braje Vasa, Yei Pancha, Sadhana Pradhana. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita. So these are the 5 things. Association with Krishna devotees, very important. Engagement in the service of Lord Krishna through deities, installed deities. Regular reading of Srimad Bhagavatam. Chanting of the holy names of Krishna and residing in holy places like Vrindavan or Madhura. And this devotional service will purify you. Okay, so this devotional service word, that's sadhana. We are talking about we are going through the book of art of sadhana. Sadhana means devotional service. Bhakti prabhava, sei kama chadana, Krishna pade bhakti, karaye gune akarshya. Devotional service is so strong that when one engages in it, he gradually gives up all material desires and becomes fully attracted to the lotus feet of Krishna. That is the purifying power of devotion service. The devotion service is also called bhajana, sadhana, bhajana, devotional service. They are all basically same. So now the heart of the fallen soul, that will be like stone, rock, stone. What? That is what the heaviness. That stone was the one who really dragged us to fall down into these lower worlds. But when our heart is purified by sadhana, with the help of Guru, then slowly we will try to see the original nature of us. As I really showed you that in the mirror case. So you will try to see your nature, and slowly it will get manifested. And then what happens? When our heart is purified, Krishna is full. Krishna is there as Paramatma. But when you really take everything out, then Bhagavan comes, replacing Paramatma. So he makes our heart so light now. All the stone, everything, all the things are gone. And now we are actually going to float like a feather. Right? So like a feather, we'll be floating all up and up and up and up to all the way to spiritual abode of Krishna. And live happily there, ever, in our real, original and permanent home. Such a power is coming from devotional service called bhajana or sadhana. But here's the catch. There is a big problem here. If I want Krishna, can I also worship everyone else? The fact is that Krishna wants either your full heart or nothing. See, this is the thing now. So, this is the catch now. So, okay. So, but we have so many fragments in our heart. Right? Each one is given to so many people, and then only one small fragment is given to Krishna. Look at the picture. He is sitting there. But Krishna wants the entire heart. He wants full or none. 0 or 1. Something like that. He is different. But you have to respect all the demigods. But one should worship only Krishna as a one-pointed devotion. So we have to have a one-pointed devotion. This may be bizarre. But the fact is, if you don't have fully Krishna in your heart only, you will be tricked to really go to the abode of demigods. We don't want to go. We want Krishna. We want to go to Krishna's abode. Then you really worship Krishna. That is why Ekam Sastram Devaki Putra Geetam Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva Eko Mandra Tasya Namani Yani Karmapi Ekam Tasya Devasya Seva. There is only one holy scripture. The divine Gita. Right? Gita means whatever that he sung. Not only Bhagavad Gita. Srimad Bhagavatam, all so many places he was sung, so many things given by Lord Krishna. Only one Lord to worship, that is Lord Krishna. Only one mantra to chant, that is his holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And there is only one duty. What is it? Devotional service unto Lord Krishna. There is nothing else actually besides there. Now I want to do a summary and then wrap up. So top 10 points I am really I've taken and then giving to you. Our original position, number 1, our original position is to be with Krishna. But we have fallen for useless sense enjoyment. Our only goal is to get back to Krishna. For that we need to perform devotion to Krishna. 5 items of sadhana we really saw. 6 qualities of Krishna Bhakti we saw. Krishna is bound by Prema Bhakti. We actually discussed that. Krishna shares bliss with his devotees. And Krishna devotion destroys material desires. Not even the desire to go to heaven and enjoyment. Then the 10th one, Krishna wants our whole heart. Got it? Right? All the things are summarized now. Okay, now it's the time to end up with a bhajan. Alright? So here I really want to call Madan Mohini Devidasi to really sing this bhajan. And yes, please unmute your phone. And now this is what, I'm not going to read the whole thing. So I'm just going to read the meaning of the first stanza, and the rest is actually all related. O my dear mind, with staunch faith, perform Hari Bhajana, without which you cannot be delivered. And with your mouth chant the names of Brajendra Nandana, Gope Pranadana, the life and wealth of the gopis, and Shyama Sundara. Okay, Shyama Sundara is the Swayam Bhagavan, not Vaikunta, Lord of Vaikunta. No, you have to do what? Gopi Pranadana. Gopi were not attracted by Narayana or Vishnu. No, gopis are attracted only by Krishna. You know a lot of stories there. So Shyama Sundara, whose beauty enchants the whole entire manifestation.